Hi guys, in today's video, I'm going to audit my own store and I'm going to show you exactly what your TPT store needs to have in order to be set up for success from the very beginning. I'm even going to give you a checklist. Hi guys, really quickly, my name is Blanca from TeacherTechFiles.com and I'm a learning strategist from Las Vegas. And on this channel, I show you how to use technology to help simplify your day-to-day teacher tasks. And we also talk about how to be successful on Teachers Pay Teachers. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in and want to know more about, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. I had a person reach out to me on Instagram recently and they told me that they were really nervous about starting a TPT store because they were afraid of setting it up incorrectly. It kind of caught me off guard because I didn't really think about that when I was first setting up my own store. I just kind of went for it. But the more I thought about it with some hindsight, the more I realized that there are definitely some things that would help your store be set up for success if you do them from the very beginning. So I thought I'd save you the headache of having to go back and fix some things in your store after the fact by giving you some tips if you're just getting started. So what I'm going to do is break up this video into 3 main sections or 3 main requirements that your store needs in order to be successful. We're going to start with the overall look of the store, then look at the organization of the products, and then finally look at the descriptions, pricing, and overall customer service. We are going to cover a lot during this video, but don't worry, you don't have to run out and grab a notebook and pen to take notes because I've created a free checklist that covers all of it, and it will be linked below so you can just grab your own copy and print it out whenever you're ready. So I'm going to do an audit of my own store, but I thought it would be really cool to do a few videos where I audit some of your own stores and give you some tips to help you grow. This would be in a total judgment-free zone. I'm not here to criticize your store or anything you're doing. I just want to give you my opinions as a neutral party, and of course, it would be completely up to you which parts of my advice you wanted to implement. So anyway, let's get started with the first category, which is the overall look category. What I'm looking for is that your store looks cohesive. So let's take a look at my own store. If you want people to recognize your products, you want your brand to be defined. We're going to start at the top. The first thing you need to make sure is that you have a custom logo image. It could be your face or your actual store logo, but you definitely don't want to leave it blank and have that gray placeholder. Buyers want to feel like they're about to purchase a quality product, but it might give off a bad impression if the seller didn't even take the time to upload an image for their logo. Going down a little bit more, the next thing you need to check is that you have a custom personal quote and banner. It doesn't have to be an animated banner like I have here, but it should be something different than the placeholders that you get when you first open your store. Also, putting in an animated banner was such a headache. I remember being super frustrated when I was trying to change it the first time. It was such a headache that now I'm a little bit nervous about changing it for fear that I won't know how to put it back. Maybe one of these days I'll make a video of me trying to change it and we can figure out how to do it together. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in, but for now, I have a custom quote box and banner and I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so after those 2 things, you want to check if your store looks cohesive and consistent. The way that I'm going to check that is by quickly skimming the entire front page of my store. What you're looking for is that your store looks like it all belongs together. You want it to be recognizably yours. So as you can see, my store is pretty consistent with the colors I use. It's mostly blues, orange, and green, so I'll give myself a check mark for that one. The last thing in this overall look category is that your thumbnails are consistent. You want your thumbnails to be clear and branded because you want people to recognize your products from everybody else's. So if a person really likes the quality of my work, they are more likely to buy more of my products if they know it's coming from me. I'm just gonna make it super easy for this person to know which products were created by me and which ones weren't by having consistent thumbnails. Now we're moving to the next category, which is the organization of the store. Your store should be easy to navigate. If you're a chef or in the food industry, a common saying is that people eat with their eyes first. To me, it's the same thing when it comes to online shopping. If something is hard to understand or not pretty to look at, I'm going to move on to the next choice. And since TPT often has lots of choices for you to choose from, I don't have a problem passing on this one to go to the next one. So long story short, your store should be organized. To have an organized store, you need to have custom categories. Make it easy for your buyers to know what you have. If you don't have custom categories, then your products end up being all mixed in, and as a teacher, I don't have time to sort through it all and see if there's any gold nuggets in there. So in my store, a buyer can easily see if I have what they're looking for by seeing my custom categories. This is an area that I think I can improve on. I have some custom categories, but I have a few different products that I've lumped together that probably could be their own categories. I've added this to my to-do list, and eventually I'll go through and clean it up some more. Okay, the next thing I'm looking for under the organization category is if your store has enough products. In order to sell more and make an income more consistently, you have to offer more. So that means having as many products as possible. I know that you are just getting started, so you probably won't have any or many, but the goal is to just stay motivated to keep making more and more as much as possible. I don't think there's a magic number, but I know that if I walk into a store and there are less than 50 products in it, I'll probably walk out and go to another store that has a bigger selection. And it's not that I think the products from that smaller store are bad quality or anything. It's that I feel more secure that the larger store will continue to produce products that I'm loving at the moment, and so they will become my go-to source for that type of resource. I currently have 131 resources, so it's a good start, but you always want to keep adding more though. So try to balance your time with advertising and creating, which I know is easier said than done. The last thing to check in this category is that you have a high quality freebie. Your storefront is your buyer's first impression, but your freebie is proof of quality. When your buyer downloads the freebie, that is your chance to show them the level of quality that they're going to expect for the rest of your products. And so for this reason, the freebie is super important. Make sure that your freebie is presented professionally and try to offer your customers something of value. For my freebie, I currently have a free Sound Partners lesson, which is for phonics and phonemic awareness. This freebie gives my buyers insight to what the rest of the Sound Partners lessons will look like, which is valuable because it is part of a larger set. It's part of a bundle. So from this freebie, they'll get a better idea if they want to purchase the bundle or move on to the next seller. The very last category in making sure your store is set up for success is product descriptions and price. You want to make sure that your product description is written well. I made a whole video about this and I'll link it in the description below, but we'll go over it briefly now because I think it's also super important. If a person has clicked on your thumbnail, then they've already warmed up to your product. They are almost ready to purchase, and your product description could sway them one way or another. So going back to my analogy that people eat with their eyes, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your description is easy to read. If we look at my description here, I can see that it's easy to read. It's not one giant paragraph, and it has categories to clearly explain what the product is and what it includes. The first paragraph is called your snippet. You want your snippet to be super clear on what the product is. This is also where you want to naturally include keywords that will help your product pull up on search results. So on mine, the keywords I included are second grade math review game, the standard itself, addition to 20 without regrouping, and story problems. I'm hopeful that those keywords will help this product come up higher on search results. But the key is to use relevant keywords. It's not good practice to add a bunch of random keywords that may or may not be relevant to your product just to come up on search results. Because even if your product does come up on the search, if your product itself has nothing to do with the keywords that you ranked for, buyers are going to be pretty upset and just move on with not just your product, but your whole store altogether. You also want to make use of all the thumbnails. Give the buyers as much insight into your product as possible. Let's face it, we all do this. If we go to a product page and are even the tiniest bit confused about it, we move on to something else. We don't really have the time to spend figuring out what a resource is. We want easy, high quality, and good prices. On mine, I have 4 thumbnails and a video preview. Video previews is a whole other topic that's in my future video to-do list because I think they're very important. I tend to overcomplicate things sometimes, and that stopped me from making video previews, but now I realize that I don't need a ton of bells and whistles. The preview is to make your product crystal clear for people, so just keep it simple. So let's take a little poll. I'm going to show you one of my earlier, way too complicated previews, and then I'll show you one of my new, simpler videos. They both provide good information on the product, but one of them took me a couple hours to make because the video program kept being finicky, and the other one literally took me about 5 minutes. Welcome to Math Track, a digital review game that you and your students will love. To win this game, students will need to unlock these 10 locks on your homepage by answering questions correctly. Students will need to answer 3 consecutive questions correctly, and if they do that, they'll be able to unlock the next lock. Just like this. What I'm showing you right now is level 1, which includes basic math facts to addition within 20 without regrouping. There are also 3 ribbons for them to earn throughout the game to provide an extra incentive for getting through the game. The ribbons look like this. Assigning it to students is super easy as well. Simply share the link and you'll be all set to go. If you are looking for a more difficult version of this, I do have level 2 and level 3, which will be linked in the description below. I hope you and your students enjoy this game. As a seller, you want to make good use of your time, so you tell me, would I be making good use of my time trying to create a video preview that has transitions and sound, or would I get the same value from the second video, which only has a voiceover and a screen recording? Okay, so back to the description. The last 2 things you want to make sure it has is links to other products that they may be interested in, and a link to how they can contact you. I want my buyers to have another way of contacting me because if something happens to my TPT store, I'll have a way to communicate with them and keep them updated. So currently I am trying to build up my email list, but I'll be honest, I'm horrible at actually sending emails out. This is an area where I feel super self-conscious and wonder if people want to read what I have to say. So I usually end up scrapping the email that I started typing and just not send it. Which I guess on the one hand, it's good for you since you know you won't get spammed from me. But on the other hand, I know that I need to work on it some more to help build those relationships with you all. But long story short, if you've signed up for my email list before, I apologize if you haven't received anything from me. I'm just really bad at sending emails. But please know that eventually, when I get all my ducks in a row, I'll start emailing you more consistently with lots of helpful tips. All right, we're almost done, so thank you for hanging in there with me, but I hope that you're getting good information from this video. Let's move on to pricing. Pricing is a tricky subject that can be its own video, but basically you want to make sure that you're not over or undercharging your products. The good thing about TPT is that there is a very good chance that you're making similar products to other people, at the very least in the format. This means that if I'm selling boom card decks, I can easily compare how much other people are charging for their boom card decks of similar sizes. So what do? You go on TPT and search for similar products and just compare the pricing. Let's look up Digital Phonics Bingo. I sell mine for $4. If I type in Digital Phonics Bingo on TPT, it looks like I'm priced right along the rest of them. And since my product isn't exactly groundbreaking compared to theirs and it didn't take me too much time to make, I'm happy with that price. Now let's try my digital PLC notes. At first glance, it looks like I may be undercharging, but when I look a little bit longer, I can see that these other products are full teacher planners, so they're different from what I'm offering. If I search for just PLC notes, I can see I'm right in the middle. I'm not going to do it in this video, but you can also go into the product statistics and dive a lot deeper into your conversion rates and whatnot to help you decide if your pricing is where it should be. And that's it, guys. I know that this was a lot to cover, so be sure to download the checklist that I created for you using the link in the description. Like I mentioned before, I'd love to create some videos where we kind of take a look at some of your stores and give you my first impressions and tips on how to make it even better than it is now. So if you're interested in having your store be featured in a future video, please leave a comment below with your name and your store name, or send me a message on my Instagram account and I'll reach out to you. Thank you again for sticking around this long and helping me grow this channel. I appreciate each and every single one of you and for following my mantra of being kind to one another. I can see that in the comments you guys leave behind, and it makes me so happy because this world can always use more kindness. But anyway, until next time, let's continue to be kind to one another, and I'll see you in my other videos.